If you're After Effects user and you want to switch from After Effects to Fusion or add it into your arsenal, this video is right for you. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make simple text animation in After Effects, and then I will recreate this animation inside of Fusion. I'm going to use Fusion that is part of Davinci Resolve, not standalone application. And today I'm going to do this kind of animation. I'm gonna give you a few seconds and you can write me in the comments which one has been done in After Effects and which one in Fusion. And here is the result. As you can see, we achieved pretty good result, and honestly it's pretty hard to identify which one were made in After Effects and which one in Fusion. Here is the structure of today's video. First, I will create animation in After Effects. I assume that you are familiar with After Effects and I don't need to explain you why I use this technique instead of the other. Then we'll go to Davinci Resolve and I'm gonna give you basic understanding what Fusion is, what nodes are, and what's the difference between nodes and layers. And after this we'll recreate animation that we did in After Effects inside of Fusion by using nodes. If you guys ready, grab some coffee or tea and let's get started. Alright, I am in After Effects and here I have 3 layers. I prepared for myself titles, nothing special, it's just titles, they're pretty much the same, the only difference in the font size. And I changed tracking for the last one. Okay, let's arrange them in my composition, like so, and also I want to add one shape here. I will use shape layer. Okay, and let's make it gradient. And switch it to gradient mode, like so, and let's change colors. I like this color, I like this font, and actually we prepared our design. Let's add background. I'm gonna use the same color as UE, like so, and it looks nice. Let's make it a little bit darker. Okay, looks nice. It's not pixel perfect, but it's enough for us. Okay, I'm done with the design part, and now let's animate this text. So first of all, I want to animate modern titles in Fusion, and to do so I want to use mask. I will use shape layer, create mask here, like so, and now let's rename it. Made 01. Let's duplicate it and do the same mask for this layer. Probably this text will appear from top to bottom. Currently I'm using After Effects 2023 and they improved TrackMate system, and right now I no longer need to place each of this layer on top of the text and connect them. I can place them below and connect them straight to these mates by using pick whip, and let's do so. Okay, so and Fusion gonna be our mate 02 and modern titles is gonna be mate 1. Alright, let's move forward 20 frames and let's animate these 2 layers. I'm gonna use B, first keyframe, going back, modern titles going here and Fusion going here, and we have this animation. Let's improve dynamic here. Okay, like so. I'm gonna leave it like this for now, and let's animate this rectangle. And I want to animate the wheel from left to right, but also I want to have this rectangle for After Effects text. That's why I will just duplicate it, place it here, rename to mate 03, and this one I need to change anchor point, and I will animate scale property. Okay, first keyframe, going back, and let's make it 0. And also let's improve dynamic here. Okay, perfect. Now I need to animate for After Effects, and to do so I will use preset called effect called typewriter. I'm going back to first frame, enable this effect, hit U, Let's make it more faster. And let's play with graph editor as well. And let's play a bit with timing. So this one will be the last one. Okay, it's really simple, looks cool. I'm going to hit U to hide all keyframes, and let's add new layer called null object. And let's connect everything to null. And I want to animate rotation here. 15 frames. Keyframe, let's rotate it. Okay, so I need to disconnect background. Okay, and let's play with the dynamic as well. Let's make it more dynamic. Perfect, I like it, looks cool. And one more thing, after we have all our text here, let's animate scale. First keyframe, move forward 115, and let's make it 120. Okay, do the same steps. We need to play with dynamic, and I want to smooth beginning and smooth end and smooth ending. Okay, so let's start this animation from the first second. Okay, perfect. One more thing, I want to make it black. Holy moly, After Effects crashed.
No, God!
Okay, every time I try to change font size, After Effects crashes, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. And one more thing I want to animate here is tracking of for After Effects text. Let's go to the first keyframe from the null. And let's animate for After Effects. I'm gonna animate tracking. I'm gonna make it -2. And let's make it here 2, like so. Let's find these keyframes. Okay, I didn't animate, so one more time. Going back. -2. Okay, and let's animate it. Okay, even though we can select these two keyframes and synchronize the dynamic. Like so, but I see, yeah, we missed one frame here. Okay, now it should be fine. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we did pretty good animation here, and as you can see, it was really simple, and we used only like nine layers here, not a big deal. And now I'm going to switch to Davinci Resolve, and let's try to recreate this effect inside of Fusion. I'm just pop up Davinci Resolve, and if you never used it before, I'm gonna show you a quick overview here. So bottom here we have different stages when we edit our video. So right now we are in cut, and we need to switch to edit. Now it's more like similar to Premiere Pro if you have used it. Right now everything is empty and we can do nothing here. And we need to start with creating new timeline. Making right click, timelines, create new timeline. And let's name it like titles. And we can use project settings, but I don't remember what exactly settings I set up here. Let's change everything here. Format I will change to Full HD, 24 frames per second, perfect, and everything is gonna be by default. Okay, let's create new timeline. Keep in mind that it's editing program. First of all, Davinci Resolve has been made for editing, and you have to keep it in mind because it's important. And now we need to create something to go into Fusion. We have empty timeline. We can use clip, for example, and switch this clip to Fusion. Or, okay, we can use Text Plus, but to enable these options, if you don't have it, we need to press this button Effects and this will fire up all our effects that we have in Davinci Resolve. And here we need to go to Toolbox, Titles, Text Plus. This is the first method how we can join Fusion, and the second one, if we go to Effects, we have Fusion Composition. Honestly, both are the same. The only difference that Text Plus has already text inside, and this one is empty. So I will use Text Plus, and now we can just switch to Fusion tab and we'll pop up Fusion. Okay, we are in Fusion, and let's make a quick overview what we have here. Here in Fusion we have biggest panel here. It's called Viewer, the same viewer as we have in After Effects. And this viewer allows us to watch and preview everything that we've done with our nodes. Pretty much the same as we can do in After Effects. But here we have few modes. Right now I have two viewers. One is left, it's gone, we cannot see anything here. And the right one, we can preview this text node. And we have this button here that allows us to switch between two viewers. We can switch to one view and see the result of our nodes, or we can switch to two views. I'm gonna dive and use two viewers a little bit later, but I'm just gonna give you a first impression of it. Next tool that we have is Media Pool. Media Pool is pretty much the same as Project Panel in After Effects. Right now we have only one timeline without any images or footages. Then we have Effects. It's pretty much the same as Effects and Presets in After Effects. And we have all nodes that we can use in our project. We have LUTs, we have templates, and so on. On the right side we have Inspector. And Inspector is a really useful thing. It's like effect controls in After Effects, but more advanced, because this Inspector controls everything here. Even if you use shapes, some parametric objects here, you can control everything here. And it's really handy because in After Effects sometimes you have to open timeline, for example, to edit shapes, and it's really annoying. Here you can control everything in one separate tab. Next important window is Spline. So this window is like graph editor in After Effects. Here we can control and animate our keyframes to add dynamic and so on. But we'll take a look closer a little bit later. And the same, we have a window called Keyframes. And here we can see all our keyframes. We can move them, we can delete them, we can clone them. Everything that related to keyframes is here. In After Effects we don't have any panels related to keyframes, because we animate all our keyframes on timeline. And metadata. I never use it, but it's some... If you know what metadata is, so probably you know. If you don't know, you don't need it. Here we have timeline. This stripe with numbers, it's timeline. Right here we have basic controls, play, stop, like it's obvious. And here in the middle we have all our most important tools that we will use in Fusion. And it's really handy to have them here because you don't need to search in effects. We can hide the effect panel and make our screen bigger. And here we have the biggest panel and the most important panel, and this panel called Nodes. And what this panel does, it collects all nodes that you have in our project. We can navigate this panel by using mouse wheel. We can zoom in, zoom out, and also we can hold the wheel and move around, like so. Let's figure out what are nodes and how they work. In After Effects we don't have any analogy to nodes. Node can be as text, shape, solid, transition, effects, and so on. Basically almost any change is done by separate node. We have main node that always will be the last one in our node system. And this node called Media Out. All nodes that we'll add into this project, into this node field, will be connected to Media Out. This node is sending final view into Viewer tab. This is what we will see in the final video. Why it's important to understand? Because every node has switch view. We can switch from left view to right view. So right now in this project I have only two nodes, one with text and one with viewer. And let's add one more node here, and this transform node, I will make this text bigger. And right now in Media Out we see all our changes that we've done in our project. Right now we have only one change, right? So we just apply transform, we make this text bigger. For example, if I navigate here on this node template, we have these two dots, each dot related to the display. So right now I have only one, this means that I can use only right. And if I switch here, as you can see, we have nothing in media out, which means that we preview only this node. And if I switch to two viewers, I can switch, for example, this text will be displayed on the left side and media out on the right side. And we have two different images, right? Because I did changes here. And also we can preview transform node or media out. And for example, if I switch to template node and none of the viewers shows us media out, if I switch back to edit, I have final image here from media out. Important to understand that media out is always shows what's gonna be our final video or final image. If you want to find any analogy in After Effects, we have similar thing called solo view in After Effects. It's pretty much the same. Okay, I will delete this node and let's go forward. So right now I want to add background for our text. And how to do that? We have different nodes here. And the first node is what we need called background. To use this node, we can just drag and drop it here. And to display this node, we need to connect it to media out, right? But we have problem here that we have only one input. And if we connect this node here, we will see only background, right? So I will change this color. Right, we see only background, we don't see the text. And if I connect text, I see only text. I cannot connect them together to media out. Thus, we have second, the most important node in Fusion, called merge node. This node is located here on the panel, and let's drag and drop it here, and let's see what we have with this node. So this node has three inputs: yellow for background, green for foreground, and one for mask. Let's connect background to background, and let's connect text to foreground, like so. And now we need to disconnect this text and connect our merge node to media out. And voila, we have text on the background. It's really simple, right? And here is the biggest difference between After Effects and Fusion, that no matter how we change these layers, we can place them in any order. We always will follow this connection that we've set here, and foreground will be always foreground, no matter how we change these orders. Because in After Effects we have to identify which one will be on top, which will be bottom, and you don't need to connect every time merge node just by drag and drop and connect it one more time. It's really annoying, right? So we have two options here. For example, I want to add one more text. I will duplicate this node, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, like so, and let's preview this node. Okay, so right now I'm solo this node, and we can change text, like so, and change position of this text here. Okay, right now I have two options how connect this text to our node tree system. We can just drag and drop and place it here, and as you can see we have blue and yellow line here, which means that this node will be automatically connected to our structure. Second way, if for example we select this merge node and press, it will automatically add into our structure as the next node. Okay, if I delete and for example select text, do the same, as you can see we have connection. And the third way, I think the most useful, is to drag and drop and place this text here into this connection, and this will create new merge node automatically and connect layer what we want to connect. Okay, so let's preview media out what we have here, and we have one background and two text node. I think it's clear. Right now I want to show you one more thing. For example, let's make it darker, dark blue, like so, and we have nodes order here, right? We have background and foreground, and this text right now is our foreground. But what if we want to make it as background? and we have cool options that allows us to swap foreground and background. And to do so, we can make a right click here, and we have swap inputs, or we can use Ctrl T. For example, let's make it Ctrl T, and now we have our foreground and background swapped. But the problem here is that this text node is located behind this structure, because this structure is connected as foreground, and this text is connected as background. So if I select background and change alpha, we can see our text behind this structure. And if we want to place this text below this text but above the background, we need to disconnect this text node and connect it here. Okay, and this node we can simply delete, and this merge node we need to connect to media out. Okay, we connected to our texts to merge node. Let's make it more clear and let's rename it. So this one is custom text. I use F2 to rename tool, and let's type something here, custom text. And one important thing, that all your spaces will be replaced. Fusion doesn't understand any spaces. You need to use separator here, like so, and same here. Let's name it text, like so. Custom text and text, it's obvious, right? And now I'm going to use Ctrl T to swap inputs, and everything works as we expected. And what's cool, that I can switch back to dual view and send this text into the left viewer. Also, you can use drag and drop. Just select this node and drag and drop into one screen, for example here or here. But I find useful to use 1 or 2 hotkey. I use 2 and 1 to display here, and select this node, hit 2. Why this is useful, these two screens? Because I can select this text and see this text separate from everything else. But as you can see, we have a bunch of different nodes here, and we'll use them later on while we will be doing our animation. As you can see, we have different logic here compared to After Effects. And let's figure out what nodes are and how they work. Node system is like tunnel or funnel. We have movement from left to right, and all nodes are aimed to be connected to media out. Because of merge node, we don't really care what is above the other. We can identify hierarchy by our own, by setting foreground and background. The closest analogy to merge node is pre-compose in After Effects. Okay, there is too much theory. Let's use this knowledge in the real example. Okay, let's delete everything from here and let's start from scratch. Okay, let's start with making text. So to do that, we will use text node, this one, just drag and drop it into nodes field. And let's type our first text. Let's connect this text to media out. One huge problem in Fusion that we cannot simply switch to all caps. We need to type it manually, and it's really annoying. Okay, modern titles. Okay, let's change font to Montserrat. Okay, now I want to duplicate this text, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Let's type for After Effects and Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Do the same for After Effects and Fusion. Okay, so let's connect all this text with the merge node, like so. And let's arrange this text in our composition. For After Effects will be in the middle, this one will be on top, modern titles. Okay, let's play with the scale. Let's make it bigger. I assume 9. This one will be 7. Okay, and also we can increase tracking. Okay, we've done with our text, so let's add square rectangle. And to do that, I will use background node. Let's connect it here. Let's swap inputs, Ctrl T. And now I want to add a mask on this background. Just select this background and hit this rectangle tool. And now we have this mask. We can change these settings. Like so. I use mouse wheel to navigate in this display. Okay, so let's change position of this text again. Okay, let's rename all these nodes for easier navigation for us. So this one will be modern. I hit F2, modern, this one for After Effects, and this one Fusion. Okay, perfect. Now it's easier to understand what's going on. In background node, we have options in the Inspector tab. So basically each node has options that we can control in Inspector tab. And for background, we have options type. We can switch from solid to gradient. And it's pretty similar to what we have in After Effects. So we did almost the same. Let's change our colors. I will copy from project in After Effects. Okay, like so. And if you want to control the opacity of this layer, you can use alpha channel. Right? So basically we are done with the design part and everything looks pretty good. Okay, let's create one more background layer for our background. To do that, I will just select this node and hit the background node. And this will automatically create merge node, and background will be connected to this node. And we need to swap inputs like so. And let's copy color from the background in After Effects. Okay, almost similar that what we have in After Effects. Probably I will make this text a little bit smaller, maybe 65. Okay, perfect. Let's animate these things out. To do that, I will start with animating these two texts, modern titles and fusion. And to do that, I need to use simple mask. Let's start with modern titles. This node here, I select this node. Let's add some room here. Okay, I select this node and hit the rectangle mask. And you see the result immediately. Okay, let's make it bigger. So I control these settings on the screen, but also you can control everything in the Inspector tab here. For me, it's more convenient to use these handles on screen. And let's make our first animation. Select modern titles. As you can see, we have a bunch of different tabs. We can adjust everything with our titles. We are going to layout, and here we can animate position. And let's move forward to 20th frame, like we did in After Effects. And let's hit our first keyframe. As you can see, we have these diamonds here. And if we press this diamond, this means that we set our first keyframe. Let's go back and change this value. So place it down like this, and we have our animation. Now it's really slow, and let's improve this. So we go to Spline editor, and if we select modern, we need to use this checkbox to enable this layer. And right now we can navigate it here and find our keyframes. It's not so convenient to use and try to find these keyframes. We can use this button called Zoom to Fit, which will fit all our keyframes into this panel. Alright, so let's select our first keyframe, and we can use this handle to change this animation. Okay, now it's much faster, pretty nice dynamic, and we can play with those settings. Okay, so let's do the same thing with Fusion. I'm going to select this layer, or we can simply drag and drop this mask node here and connect to Fusion. Okay, like this. Scale it up. And we need to do same thing with this text layer. So going to layout, our first keyframe, moving back, and let's animate this position. And we are going to spline editor, and here I need to deselect modern because we just animated, and select this and select this keyframe and this handle like so. Okay, so I want to make this animation even more faster. Alright, then I want to animate this bar. I want to animate this rectangle thing, and to do that I select this rectangle mask, going to 20th frame, and I will animate two things here. I will animate width, let's set first keyframe here, and I will animate center. I will try another method. So after background I will add transform node like so, and here we have pivot. Pivot is the same as anchor point, and let's change this center here. We can zoom in to see more clearly this edge. Okay, right now our size and aspect are linked. Let's deselect this checkbox, and right now we can animate X and Y separate. So I will hit the first keyframe on the 20th frame. I'm going back and change this X size to 0. Going back to spline. Now I need to deselect everything except transform. Make it on the whole screen. Select this keyframe. And one cool feature in Fusion that we can preview keyframes of other layers. Dots means that we can only preview these layers, but we cannot edit them. So I'm going back and see what we have here. And the last thing I want to animate is this text. Let's find it out for After Effects. I'm going to 20th frame as I did before, and I will animate parameter called right on. I'm going to set first keyframe, going back to 0. What this setting does, we can animate appearance of each letter here. It's like typewriter effect. So I will use from left to right, set it 0, 0, perfect. And here we have our animation. As we did before, going to spline. I will turn off all other layers, and let's animate this thing as well. Okay. Okay, let's preview. Perfect. What if I want to move some text animation a bit forward to add some randomness into our animation? To do that, we need to use keyframes panel, and it's pretty similar to spline. I mean, we also have these options to fit to zoom, and here we can see all our keyframes, right? So we animated transform, and we have two keyframes here. We can select, for example, these two and move them forward, right? Or we can select these two, move them forward like so. I will copy settings from After Effects to have this similar structure. Okay, let's preview. One more thing, that at the beginning of this animation we have a rotation that is happening, and let's recreate this effect in Fusion. To do that, I will use another transform node. It's gonna be the last node in our hierarchy. I'm going to 15th frame. I'm gonna set angle, first keyframe. I'm going back, -39, okay? And what we have here. And as you can see, we have a problem. This transform node goes after all our hierarchy, and we need to place this node before our background. Okay, so I need to disconnect it. I use Shift key to disconnect. Okay, move this forward, and I'm gonna use Shift key again, holding Shift, and place it here. Okay, and right now we are animating everything that before this transform node. Okay, let's also go to spline editor. And I need to animate, and I want to add dynamic here. But the difference that we have rotation counterclockwise, and in After Effects we have clockwise. So we need to change from minus to 39. Okay. Yep. And we have the last animation is this pop-up. It's happened on the first second, 24. And to do that, we will use size, set first keyframe. So I need 24 plus 15, okay, and make it, for example, 1.2. And let's add dynamic here. And to zoom in or zoom out, we can use Control key, okay, like so. And one cool thing that if I hold Alt key, I lock this handle to move only in one direction. Okay, perfect. And the last thing, I want to add tracking for After Effects. Select this one, then I'm going to set first keyframe for tracking. I'm going to move forward to 39. And let's add, for example, 2. It's way too much. 1 is also way too much, so it's gonna be 0.5, I guess. Yep. And at the beginning, I will change from 1 to 0.98 to make this animation more vivid. Going back to spline editor, turn off transform, and I need to find character spacing. Okay, like so. And also I want to make it super dynamic. This may be way too much, something like this. And let's check it out.
As you can see, nodes are pretty handy thing. But before you do your conclusion comparing nodes and layers, I recommend you to spend some time, week or so, just to dive deeper into nodes and understand more deeply the logic of nodes. And after this time you will have more vivid understanding what's the difference between nodes and layers and which one is better for you. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you find this video useful. If you do so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe on my channel. I would really appreciate it, and see you in the next videos. Peace.